your microphone. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is your time to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of the commissioners, Delia, and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will automatically be continued to the July 21st, 2021 NRC meeting. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves.
Nick Pappas.
And Gary Kleiman.
Thank you, guys. And first up on the agenda is approval of the April 21, 2021 meeting minutes. I did not have any comments. Nick?
I had one addition, one minor one.
Great. Gary, any comments?
I was listening to the meeting, but I was not a commissioner, so
Yeah, you are correct, and thank you.
but I was listening in.
Yep.
They seemed fine.
Yeah, so we actually should table that.
That's right, we don't have a vote, so we'll table that to the 21st. All right, Delia, director's report, please.
Just a couple of things. One is those of you who are on news and notices are aware that there's a no swimming advisory that was issued for White Pond today based on the MD, the Mass Department of Public Health guidelines. There has been a bloom that has been observed and it's sort of floating around the pond. MDPH said close it down. So those signs have been posted and we will close until further notice.
Sure.
The crew has been doing tremendous work. So yesterday and today, they've been involved in doing water chestnut harvesting on the Sudbury River. And they're preparing to do the Haywood Meadow invasive species removal volunteer effort that I'll talk about at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Thank you. All right, looks like we've got, let's see, 3 continuances to the 21st without discussion. Could I have a motion last week?
I move that we continue till July 21st without discussion. 1597 Monument Street, DEP file number 1371558, 43 Old Bedford Road, DEP file number 1371504, and 209 Musterfield Road, DEP file number 1371567.
Second.
Thanks, Gary. And we'll take the vote. Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. We have a continuance to August 11th without discussion.
Which that,
I think that's 13
okay.
Garland.
Was that
Yeah.
added?
okay.
Yeah, that was kind of rearranged.
Okay, I move that we continue to August 11th without discussion. NOI 13 Garland Road, DEP file number 1371565.
Second.
All right, and the vote. Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, so we'll have our first continuance this evening. Just to note, we have a fairly full agenda. So again, if you could be to the point on the presentations, that would be appreciated. Who's speaking on behalf of the Concord Children's Center, 250 Old Bedford Road, DEP file number 137-1562.
So, Pat, you go. I can start. This is Molly Obendorf with Stamsky McNary. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Molly,
Okay. I am also here with Brooke Cash with Lemon Brook Landscape Architects. Pat Nelson, who is the applicant of the project and is actually in the meeting room with you tonight, is the executive director of Concord Children's Center. Also joining us is John Amaral with Omni Properties. We last met with the commission a couple months ago on May 5th. And since then, there have been some changes to the plan in response to various town department comments, one of which includes the moving of the exit drive. I'll just I'll hop right into it. So this is a good layout you can see. So the exit drive, we got a comment from engineering and we discussed with engineering. They were concerned about the distance to the intersection of Virginia Road and Old Bedford Road. So we have since increased that distance at the recommendation of the engineering department, which did increase the impervious area slightly within the buffer zone. The drainage calculations were redone and reanalyzed, and it's confirmed that there is no need to be any changes to the subsurface infiltration structures to accommodate the slight increase in impervious area. Also worth noting, this was actually a discussion with the commission. Originally, there was a fence in the 25-foot running from Old Bedford Road to the channel. I will let Brooke get into that more when she's speaking. And I believe there was a discussion about, the connection is a little shaky here. Oh, and then it's just, we did supply the impervious area table, which was requested by the commission. So we have broken up the impervious areas within the setbacks within the buffer zone. And I will, I guess, segue into Brooke. There was a request from the commission to explore some alternatives for the deck within the 50-foot no build zone. And I will now hand it off to Brooke.
Brooke Whiting Cash from Lemon Brook Landscape Architects. I'm going to jump through. We quickly had a couple of other Molly slides in case any questions come up with that. But the real meat of what we were asked to do at the last meeting was to review this condition at the rear of the property that's within the play areas. And you were not at the first meeting, maybe you listened in or have seen the materials. I was not planning to go through the full background again, but I can if necessary.
No, it's not necessary. We can focus on the various alternatives.
Great. So we're extremely constrained on the site by zoning setbacks and also by setbacks from the wetland. This was our initially proposed plan accommodating this rear corner. So all of the building stays out of the 50-foot no build zone. But we did have this relatively small intrusion into the 50-foot no build. This is all proposed as a deck elevated above grade. So this is several components here that I'm going to touch on in the various alternatives. So initially, this sort of primary piece is this is handicap access. So the building is up at a higher level because of the grades at the road and the required elevations at the driveway and parking for the infiltration basins and connecting to the existing house. So the building sits up a bit above this outside yard area, which is now currently a lawn. So we need to be able to get children from the classroom levels down to the play area. This also is part of the component of this is the sand play area, which is considered extremely critical developmentally to the program of the Children's Center. These are all within the preschool age play area. The infants and young toddlers have a separate area. The third thing that this proposed plan did was provide this separate sort of gathering, separated viewing space. So it provided essentially like an outdoor classroom. I'm sorry, I'm getting a message that my connection is unstable, good old CMLP. And so it provided essentially an outdoor classroom, a place outside that dries quickly, where a group of children could be gathered for a specific program activity. As we all know with COVID, those type of spaces have become pretty mission critical to all sort of educational facilities. What this space also does is it provides a place within the play area, but somewhat separated, which is a very important developmental aspect for certain kids that have sensory processing disorders, maybe on the autism spectrum, often jumping straight into the middle of a really raucous kind of play situation with multiple children, maybe a little overwhelming for those kids. And so to have a place where they can be separated, but still be able to look on and have some interaction, but some way of not having to be completely integrated into the sort of social melee of the rest of the preschool play area is super important. The other thing that this plan does is it provides us two different routes. It provides the ramp route, which is integrated into the circulation and play experience. This is the main desire area. There's a small slide over here. So this provides a route for the majority of children to take that is not particular to someone that is in a mobility device. So it's part of a basic tenet of universal design, where you're not making a separate route for those that are mobility impaired. But what it also does by having these stairs in the middle, it provides a multiplicity of ways for kids to navigate these areas, to come down, around. It engages this area of the site that we're, every square foot of this play area that's within the fenced area is super important programmatically and for our licensing requirement. The other big thing about this plan as it was proposed, these are two neighboring play areas from the neighboring properties. What we're trying to do is keep the majority of the flow and direction and the sort of mob of kids headed this way and not right on this property line. So this is all fenced. Kids can come up to this area, but what we're trying to do is minimize the visual impact and the traffic, person traffic impact that happens right along the edges. So again, this is the base proposed condition. We have a couple of alternatives to show you. So this first one said, well, what if we try to take the ramp as much as possible out of the 50-foot setback? So let's just, you know, basically flip the sandbox and the ramp. Because of the run we need on the ramp, this is an extremely inefficient ramp setup, unfortunately. We wish that wasn't the case, but it having to change direction a lot means a lot of landings. And so this becomes a very big structure. It also makes for a very big, hard built edge that's against this setback line with a sort of face to the neighbors. So by the time we build this ramp, build this wall that has to surround the sand area with the fence on it, which actually needs to assume a guardrail condition over here, we get a 5 or a 6 foot built edge here facing the neighbors, which, you know, though zoning doesn't prohibit that, that's really not good design. And that's not, you know, the way that we want to make a face towards the neighboring properties. So, you know, that was a major reason that this did not seem like a good strategy to us. Additionally, the sandbox, by the time we have to build really a fully structured wall around this, by the time we put a guardrail on top of the wall, it's not just, you know, a few landscape timbers, it's a real wall. Having that intrude this far into the no build zone felt like a less good opportunity to us. This was another option where we said, we'll, you know, take the ramp and run it around the outside of the sandbox and have the sandbox on the interior. You know, it's a little more efficient in terms of the ramp. It does help direct kids over here. This becomes our sort of separate platform gathering space, viewing space, which is okay. It's not as well integrated. It does make this ramp very much a separate item. It is not integrated into the design. It very much says, you know, if you're in a mobility device, you come this way. Pretty much other kids, unless they're looking for, you know, the sort of fun movement experience of running down a ramp. Otherwise, they're going to come this way through the sandbox, or they're going to go this way directly to these other play areas over here. It additionally does not provide us that multiplicity of circuits or routes. And so though kids will still use this place, it does not engage this space nearly so well. In a very limited play area, we're trying to make every opportunity we can for kids to have as many ways to move through the space, to be as imaginative as possible. And so, you know, this really doesn't help with that as a strategy. Here's another option where we said, let's just make the ramp as efficient as it can possibly be. So what do we need with the fewest amount of landings and turns and twists to get down to the level we've got to be at? We use this as our sort of interstitial kind of gathering overlook area. We do have a slightly smaller sandbox in this location. The sandbox gets really cut off from the rest of this play area, but also the sort of landscape view with this very big structure in the middle of it. Also, by the time, if you imagine this is almost sort of like a platform or a stage that's up this higher level, we've got to have a railing all the way around this. So it's still, this corner, you know, still is fairly high and fairly dense as, you know, something that is facing towards the neighbors. And it really doesn't have any of the sort of artfulness or playfulness that we're trying to look to maximize as this being a young child development environment and experience. And it does still intrude quite a lot into the 50-foot no build. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to pull one more slide up. So this has the three alternatives with our initially proposed condition. And what it shows is the magenta area is the intrusion in the 50-foot no build. And then there's a square footage calculation. So they're all very close to 500 square feet. We do not have anywhere else to put these program elements that is not within the 50-foot no build. Our intention is to build this deck as lightly as possible, so that it would have pier footings, that it touches the ground, minimally as necessary to structure it, and that it's pervious. It would have gravel underneath the decking, so water's going to go through the deck and then through the gravel. So we still believe that, having, and we looked at other alternatives in addition to these, but these were the ones that really, satisfied most of the program requirements. But we still feel like, what we had in the beginning, which, had come through various iterations, we still feel that that's the best opportunity for the program, for the center, for, the multiplicity of uses and child development needs. And that really, we're sort of in the same ballpark on all of these alternatives in terms of level of impact. So that was really what we had for the diagrams of the deck, and that was the majority of what we came, ready to discuss. We're happy to talk about any other elements or field questions about this, but that seemed like the real major sticking point from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I guess I'll kick it off with a question in regard to just the ramps themselves. I know they're ADA ramps, and do they have a railing system around them? Yes,
they do. They have the grade does not, in our proposed condition, I haven't looked at all of the conditions on the alternatives. The grade in the proposed condition does not require a guardrail per se. However, given that we have a young child population, we will build the edges, as guardrails where there is a fall concern. The ADA ramp concerns also have a handrail, and that's a double handrail, waist height, and then, it's sort of above the knee. So that's actually a guiding rail that your hand would go on.
So,
Does that answer your question?
yeah, so I'm just, so if these have ADA handrails, I assume that they're at the, the steepest slope allowed for ADA. Is that the condition, or is it a lesser slope?
Yeah, yes, the length of the run of these has been figured. We usually shoot a little bit under the maximum allowed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing.
Oh, thanks.
I think somebody needs to mute their audio.
Ah, what?
Is someone in the audience,
Listening.
could you ensure that
Just
all
listening, that's all.
muted, please?
Oh, I'm not, I just want to hear the proceedings, because if they start going down the wrong road, I have to interject. Not know if the board is asking for demanding stuff that we can't afford. I have to
You might.
step in and say, hey, this is, we don't have the time or money for this.
So what time did you already?
No, it's because I, like these groups, they tend to go on forever. They told us 7:15, but the first case is still going on.
If anyone in the audience could mute their microphone, please, we're getting feedback and some commentary that's not.
Looks like Steve Dukrin has his mic not muted.
Thank you. We can take a pause until Delia steps back into the room. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not sure I fully answered that. The question was, are the ramps at a maximum handicap ramp slope? Was that the gist of the question?
Yes.
They're not quite at the maximum. We usually undershoot that a little bit for constructability, because if you go over it, you're in real trouble. But the other thing is, if you have a small child and a mobility device, even the allowable handicap ramp slope is very tough to negotiate. But we usually aim for something in that like 7%, 8.3 is the maximum allowed. And I don't know exactly what these were computed at, but we're usually aiming for that 6, 7 for a child situation if we can.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Well, it does appear that, alternatives don't get you much of a betterment, certainly from distance or square footage. Any thoughts from the other commissioner?
Well, also it's on lawn to begin with, right? It's not, I don't consider it a serious degradation in this case.
Yeah, the entire property, even into the wetland at this point, is mown lawn. So we're only going to be maintaining lawn in a fairly small play area, and then the rest of that existing lawn is going to be turned into native plantings and native meadow. We're doing quite a lot of mitigation.
I guess my point is, we're not degrading something that's particularly valuable.
Correct. We're not cutting down native forest to put this.
Well, and to the extent, I mean, it's a deck, right? So it's,
Yes.
to the extent that the boards or the decking is impervious, there's water flowing through the boards and can be intruded into the ground on the lawn around it or underneath the deck.
Exactly, and that's why we designed this as a deck as opposed to a more traditional and frankly more affordable concrete ramp, where we would be having runoff from it, because we were looking to sit lightly on the landscape.
I agree with Ed on the alternatives analysis. I don't see it getting us anywhere with looking at different structures to the play area. The question that I had is regarding the size of the structure itself. So maybe there's a question for Pat. I don't know. I sort of recall the last time we did talk about the programming of activities inside the building, whether or not the structure itself could be reduced. And, I'm looking at the plans and I see that you're already at, 43 square foot per child for, the mixed activity, the 4s and the 3s. And so, you can't really reduce the classroom sizes. I'm trying to remember, there was this multi-purpose area at the front of the building that seems like it's more or less a hallway, 427 square feet.
You're talking about the interior.
Yeah, the interior, like whether or not that could be reprogrammed in some way to sort of shrink the footprint of the building. But
So we've looked at that. That is a multi-purpose area which would have children. It can be called a gross motor room. It would be the place where kids can play when it's raining in that front area. So that also needs to be a minimum of right now 42 square foot per child in that area. It also serves as because we cannot prepare snacks in the classrooms as we used to do. We have designed in here an activity kitchen for preparing the snacks and bringing children out to participate in snack preparation, because that is part of the program and part of the learning that takes place. So
you need the space. It's not just going to be a hallway.
it's
You're
not
using
just a
it.
hallway, no.
Given that they need the space interior and we're not getting much from the alternatives, I'm very comfortable, as Nick indicated, that we're not really losing a lot, and there's a significant amenity to the town to have the center achieve the goals, the learning goals that they've laid out.
A couple other points. So Molly, I think you mentioned that the Public Works is looking at the stormwater. Have they finished their review?
I don't believe they've finished their second review, but there was an initial review on the stormwater report, and there wasn't anything major that would affect any of the drainage structures. And we have since responded to those comments. And, I imagine that engineering will get back to us when they've had a chance to look at them.
Get those comments back just before the meeting.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty minor, certainly in terms of stormwater. And Smiley, I'll forward those along tomorrow.
Okay.
Right.
Great,
And
thanks.
I also see a comment here by staff in regard to some wildlife friendly lighting alternatives. Has that been looked into a little bit further in regard to plan development on that item?
We have reviewed lighting. That's part of our planning board submission. It's something that we can provide for NRC, what we've provided to the planning board. So we're already meeting all of the zoning requirements for lighting, which is no spill off of the property, with the caveat there's a little bit that spills onto Old Bedford, the roadway, but not onto the other adjacent property owners. The only pole mounted lights are here. You can see them in the parking area that provide safe circulation for vehicles.
I don't think it's an issue of really safety. That's not our purview.
Right.
I think it's really just making sure that the lighting itself, the bulbs, if you will, are more environmentally friendly.
Right.
That's
So like
all.
an amber LED.
So, right, it's all LED. I believe at this point we're looking at 2700K, which is
If you could-
pretty much the most amber that's widely available. We are very aware of the light color, and color temperature is the measurement of that sort of blue versus yellow or amber light. And we will be looking to have the lighting on controls where after cleaning crews are there, that all light, when there's not lighting required for safety egress, that lighting will be turned off on the site.
Yeah, that's great. If you could just forward that to staff, that would be
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I think there's and so maybe we perhaps maybe it's back to Molly in regard to mitigation. Because that seems like there's still some issues to, clean up there in terms of just the overall amount. There's a question, and then kind of how to achieve that in both the inner and the outer easy for that mitigation. So Molly, I assume that's your bailiwick. Can you walk us through some of the mitigation plans there?
Yeah, that is actually mostly Brooke, but I can say that we intend to add to the impervious area table, mitigation amounts per buffer zone to provide that, break down those numbers for you. I do think that we need to talk to Delia about some of her calculations and how she did that, just so we can make sure that we're calculating everything accordingly. But that is information that we intend to provide and hopefully clarify for the commission.
Okay, that would be great, because it seems that at this point, there seems to be, kind of I guess the numbers don't add up yet.
Right.
So
there's two things. I think there's a discrepancy in what is provided on the plans versus what is provided in the impervious chart. As far as what the impacts are in the 50-foot no build zone, it's 507 and 520 or something like that. So
502.
that drives the mitigation. It's 10-1 in the 50, and then it's 1-1 in the 100. So I just took your numbers.
Yeah, Delia, I can actually, I can clarify that discrepancy right now. So there is a small portion of decking that's not included in the ramp or the deck part. It's kind of like an overlook where Brooke's pointing at there. Not exactly sure what it's called. Maybe Brooke could clarify that, but that is the additional, I believe it was 25 square feet discrepancy that was in the 50. So the 527 square feet is the total amount of structure, if you will, in the 50. So that will be fully mitigated in accordance with the policy.
Right. And we can certainly talk offline just to get those, make sure that we're on the same page with those numbers and how that mitigation is occurring.
It really is not insubstantial in terms of the.
Right, because there's almost a 4,000 square foot difference in what's being proposed for mitigation right now with what needs to be provided to meet the commission's requirements.
Yeah, I think as it was pointed out in that email, Delia, the meadow work of taking the lawn out and the native seeded meadow was not being calculated as part of that mitigation. And so when we reran the numbers with takeoffs from the CAD plan, we were in excess of the required area of mitigation within the 25.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, there was one other thing about snow storage. It's proposed that at the 50-foot no build zone boundary, and the staff is recommending a special condition that no snow storage is permitted within the 50-foot no build zone. And any snow that cannot be stored outside the 50-foot shall be removed from the site and lawfully disposed of.
Yeah, that's our understanding as well.
Okay,
Great.
Yep, we're totally amendable to that. So we're fine with having that condition in there. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
It might be, just as I'm thinking about it, it might be useful to include some signage at the border of where that snow storage can occur, just so that the person who's doing the snow storage, after having done 3 other, sites right before that, that they're aware that there's a boundary that they can't.
So down by but really on the pull-in side, right, the drive access.
You mean the sign that's covered by snow?
Yeah.
Or you could, they could go on the other side. You could propose snow storage on the other side. It's a little more complicated, I think, from a, practical standpoint, but that's another option as well.
The tight lot with tight bounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the pheno markers.
Oh, yes. And then there's, again, based on the meadow, I know staff's recommending an annual mow, I think was suggested 3 times, as well as, establishing some pheno markers so that people understand where the meadow starts and where the mowing can occur, ideally once in a while.
So the reason why we had written it as up to 3 times was actually to accommodate establishment. And it typically takes 3 years to establish a native meadow in New England, and it does require fairly frequent mowing in the establishment years to allow the forbs especially to not be shaded out by weeds. So we're fine with the annual mow after establishment. We did want to accommodate that establishment period, but also we do want to make sure that that path can get mown, and we will need to mow that probably once a month just to make sure it's passable for groups of children going through that area.
So you have proposed on the plan 3-foot wide paths.
Right? It's a mower width is the intention.
I'm sorry?
It's the intention is it's a single pass of the mower.
Great. So those can be mowed as frequently as you would like. The paths that are shown on the plan can be mowed as frequently as you like. And then I think that makes sense to just do, up to 3 times a year during establishments for the, 2 or 3 years, and then annual mow after that. And you
Sure.
can certainly write it.
So we can just revise them.
Okay, yeah, we're fine with that. That's what would be intended. We just need to make sure that, we can mow it more than once a year in those years getting it established, or else we'll just have a weed pit.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. Let me go out to the public and ask if there are any public commentary in regard to this application this evening.
Tanya Galis has raised her hand.
Good evening, Tanya.
Hi. Yeah, just one comment that does not have to do with the particulars of the discussion tonight. I am saddened by the removal of the large tree on Virginia Road that is in order to accommodate parking. I don't know if anything can be done about that, or it seems a shame, especially if it's for parking purposes. I understand that there is in fact a request to reduce required parking from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I think that's great. I just wanted to voice that.
I'm not sure which tree. There are quite a few trees there,
Yeah.
Tanya. There is a fairly large oak on that side. It's
I think
sort of in this area. It's
Mhm.
in terrible condition.
Oh.
If you go and take a look at it up in the canopy, you'll see that there's a tremendous amount of dead wood in that tree, and
Mhm.
it's had quite a lot of dieback. The site development here is difficult, but the majority of the trees coming out are Norway maples. And there are a few other trees that if they were in good condition, we would have worked extremely hard to save them, but they're really not.
Okay, thank you.
And we will be planting, quite
Yeah.
a lot of new trees.
I understand. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Do you see anybody on the screen?
I do not.
Okay,
Anybody who has their hand raised that I don't see, please just chime in. Don't see anybody.
okay. So, suggest continuing out to August 11th, perhaps. Got some obviously revisions to make, calculations to put together. If they wanted to shoot for the 21st dealer, they'd have,
Right, so you're meeting with the planning board next Tuesday.
Yes.
yeah,
So
so,
I think it makes sense for you to wait until you have your hearing with them.
Okay.
And then any changes that they make, you can send us both the same set of plans rather than having us reviewing 2 different sets of plans.
Sure.
okay, so we'll continue out to August 11th.
Yeah.
When would we need to get you the plans if we were to try to come back at the 21st? Pat, I don't know if you want to chime in. I know we are
That would be at Friday at noon.
starting to push deadlines quite significant just from planning.
And you really want to get the planning board feedback so that, if they change something, whatever you submit it to us, has to be resubmitted perhaps. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just continue.
All right, the next hearing, 261 Peace Bridge Road, DEP file number 137-1569. Who will be I think this was again, a fairly straightforward proposal last time, just a couple of, I think, just a couple of items to be revised on the plan, which I think has been done. Is there anyone speaking in regard to this evening?
I'm available to speak. My name is Carl Calabria, and I reside at 261 Heathsbridge Road.
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Good. So to your point, we made our initial NOI presentation at the last meeting and have now incorporated 2 requested additions to the drawings that we submitted. Specifically, we have added an invasive mitigation plan, which can be seen at the lower right hand corner of the drawing. Basically, it involves removing non-Indigenous species and replacing them with from a list that has been provided. And then the second item was to create a dispersion area for the sump pump outlet. And the civil engineer recommended a 2-foot by 2-foot field of 3-inch diameter stones surrounded by native shrubs to respond to that request. Yeah, so I guess that's the.
I think that was, I think you've got it.
Mhm.
Yep. Thank you, Carl. Any questions from the commission? No. No, very straightforward.
Yep.
Any public comment in regard to this application? Okay, hearing none. Delia, are you seeing?
Let me just.
Yeah.
I am not. seeing any.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
You bet. Take your time. All right, so hearing none, I think we have a motion.
I move that we close and issue an order of conditions for 261 Heathsbridge Road, DEP file number 1371569, with standard conditions 1 through 19, findings A through D, and special conditions 20 through 55.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
All right,
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, Carl. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see, next up, let's see, this is the town of Concord, Monument Street. This is the repair work ongoing. So I believe, who do we have this evening that'll talk a little bit further about all the structural work ongoing?
Sure. Good evening. I'm Jason Gallant with Wright Pierce. You don't want, can I approach you too?
You sure? Have a seat, please.
And thanks to Delia for running the computer there. And with me is Chuck Karen Environmental.
Hi, Chuck.
So if you could sort of scroll down, I guess, to the elevation view of that, just to kind of review what the big picture is here. So that's a sort of a cross section looking along Monument Street. And I think folks probably know mostly why we're here. Effectively, what happened at the end of April, Beaver Dam had clogged up that inlet on the left side, and water level was extremely high, approaching the roadway elevation, while extremely low on the downstream side. So mobilized, stabilized that, have evaluated the culvert replacement, have evaluated that there's been a collapse there, have done some CCTV work up into the culvert, and determined that we need to replace that upper section on the left side, where there'd be 4 sections on the inlet. And then given the apparent instability of the slope on the downstream side, it's recommended that we also do some work there. So that's it in summary. We've mobilized the contractor already under emergency order, and they're mostly gotten set up. They haven't done any work, real work in earnest, but we have, on behalf of the town, worked to procure replacement sections of that culvert. We were fortunate to find them reasonably locally and reasonably priced, so that we could get this work going to not further exacerbate the emergency there. So
you're not replacing any culvert under the road.
correct. That part has been inspected and has been determined to be viable. So
It's basically taking out that, there's a 45-inch
Yeah, so-
corrugated metal pipe
Yeah.
on the upstream side.
Yeah.
Partially through the stone box.
Mhm.
It's taking that out and replacing that with the precast on the upstream side, as well as then replacing the.
What's under the road?
Stone, so
Stone
it's a
box.
stone box culvert that was at some point on the left-hand side of this drawing, the upstream portion, you can kind of see it grayed out there. Yeah, there was a metal pipe that was put in the end of the culvert to extend it, and that metal pipe is what we understand failed.
Yeah, it's fortunate. That under the roadway, don't have to go.
Right, and we were, yeah, very fortunate to be able to correlate that length, to be able to measure from inside there. And when we determined that we don't think we have to take a lane, done other work up on Monument Street and taken a lane. Yeah, so yeah, fortunate as to where the break is, and looking forward to rapidly getting that fixed.
Yeah, well, just being in the industry a little bit, I can say that given the set of circumstances and the timing and the plans and the procurement all happening within a very short period of a very busy construction cycle
Yes.
is, at least my purview, is pretty impressive.
Well, we're just here to serve you. We've been
That's
very
a lot
well
of work.
supported by the town through DPW engineering. Delia's been quite supportive along the way as well. So, and construction community did come out. We got good responsive quotes so that we got what we think is competitive quotes so that we were able to, and work through DCAM to be able to get an emergency procurement underway.
Yeah. Okay. Any further questions from the commission? No. Okay. Any comment from the public in regard to this application? Okay, well, hearing or seeing none, I believe we have a
I have
A
a
quick
motion,
motion.
move to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions for the notice of intent titled Town of Concord Monument Street Sawmill Brook Culvert Repair, Concord, Massachusetts. As shown on the plans titled Contract Drawings for Sawmill Brook Culvert Repairs 2021. Prepared by Jason Gallant, PE, last revised June 22nd, 2021. To be issued upon receipt of a DEP file number.
thank you, Nick.
And
Second? Oh,
do we have to read these two?
okay.
And including standard conditions 1 through 19, findings A through D, and special conditions 20 through 45.
Second. Thank you, Gary. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the project.
Appreciate your support. Thank you.
You bet. All right, so I believe we're passing over that one. I think at this point we are. I think it's 675 Monument Street, RDA file number 21-11. Is Megan here this evening, or is someone speaking on behalf of this?
I'm here on Zoom.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
Hello. Great. How are you?
Very good.
Um,
What are you up to?
so I'm actually here accompanied by my landscape team, Maria Wheeler and Mary Kincaid. I think they can sort of best speak to what we're trying to do here. As you all might remember, we were with you a few months ago about our home renovation. And now we're here to talk about some landscaping work we'd like to do. It's largely the removal of some invasive species in our yard. The property we recently purchased hasn't been really cared for in a long time, and so we're just trying to clean it up, bring it back to its natural state, and some of that work is in the wetlands and the buffer zone. So I'll turn it over to Maria and Mary to just give a really quick overview of what we're thinking, and then they're available to answer any questions you have.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Maria, Mary, you guys on?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
thank you.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Maria Wheeler. And I am the landscape designer working with Megan and Lincoln and Mary. We are planning to do a really beautiful design to this property on Monument Street, which is quite a beautiful piece of property, as you probably all know. It's almost over 2 acres, I think, right, Megan? And it has 3 beautiful ecosystems on it, including the wetlands, a beautiful little like forested area, as well as a meadow below where it's currently treated as lawn. So unfortunately, as everything in this planet of ours, it seems like it's really been, the landscape is sort of a mess. It's been encroached upon. There's a lot of invasives. We took the liberty to begin looking at the property carefully, to analyze it and very carefully decide how to approach best bringing this property back. It's going to be an amazing opportunity to give back to the planet and make it a beautiful space, just for habitat, for wildlife, for the water itself, encouraging pollinators and everything else that goes along with it. So that being said, a lot of the area does seem to be in the wetland zone, where the wetlands are located. But we don't plan to do anything that would really detrimentally affect the wetlands in any way. If anything, we wish to just kind of mitigate the invasives more than anything. Just get rid of what's there, manually take the plants out, and phase 2, it would be down the road a ways. We plan to maybe improve some of the upland area with some more like ground cover type native plants that would serve to help contain the soil there, so there would be no erosion, get rid of all the tangled weeds that are up there. There's honeysuckle, there's bittersweet. I can't think of, Mary, you may be able to speak to some more of the invasives that are there. But it would all be done manually. That's how we would plan to eradicate. And that's pretty much it. It's very simple in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, it's, we love seeing projects like this, so certainly a good thing, as you said, for Concord and the planet, so. Any comments from the commission? No, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Any comments from the public in regard to this? Delia, do you happen to see anybody by chance?
No.
Okay. All right. So I think we have a motion prepared for this.
Moves to issue a negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with DNR staff and the contractor to review erosion controls and limits of work. 2, stockpiling shall occur outside the 100-foot buffer zone. And 3, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second. Thank you, Jeff. All right, we'll take the vote. Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Good luck with the project.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next hearing, 62 Lee Drive, RDA file number 21-12. Brian, are you here this evening to discuss this?
Hi there, and Jill and Rob Yates are on as well, up in New Hampshire, taking in the shift here. So just to give you an idea of the project, to the bottom of the screen there is the banks of a wetland that the levels rise depending on the year by pretty substantially. But at the time of looking at the project, that's the blue line indicates the bank there. And so there's a little bit of a peninsula that extends out into the wetland area. And so for this project, there's some dense areas of Japanese knotweed that flow down the bank towards the water's edge. and some dense areas of Norway maples, honeysuckles, common buckthorn that are also within the area. And so our goal here is to substantially enhance the native ecosystem that is there, replace the invasive species, reduce the erosion that's already occurring, that the Japanese knotweed, as it kind of goes through its cycle of life, the winter time, it doesn't support holding the soil back, and there's evidence of some erosion there. And even some of the bittersweet has taken down an existing cherry tree that was on site, and we want to manage these invasives and then replace them with what's in the native planting plan.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Again, another, great plan regarding mitigating invasives. So just one question, I think staff may have brought this up. Apparently there's a very large Norway maple on site.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts of perhaps taking that down, just given its seedlings that will always kind of continue to create an ongoing issue?
Yeah, I think we've discussed that. It is very large, and so I think if there was leniency to go ahead and approach that in the future, we'd like to prevent any of the existing seedlings from getting to a size that would become hazardous for removal. But if Jill and Rob decide that they're ready to remove that larger Norway, I think we would like to be able to do that without having to go through another meeting.
Okay.
We include that as a condition?
Yeah, I would think that would be a very favorable condition to include. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. All right. I don't think there are any other comments
Are
that I
we
have.
including a condition that they're allowed to
Yes.
remove it in the future,
Or
or or that they will remove it?
Will,
I mean,
or
that's-
is it an option, or is it a will? do
Well,
it?
It's an option.
the option doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, the only good thing about an option is they don't have to come back to a process.
Right.
So it'll make their
Make it easier
decision
for them to.
decide whether they want to remove
But
it
that
or not.
means they don't have to.
That is
Right.
correct. And they don't have to do any of this, right? This is just,
Right.
it's all,
They don't. It is their tree. They don't
yeah,
have
it
to.
is their tree, it's their,
Okay,
again,
Um,
it's a suggestion, given the extent of what you're doing today.
right.
It would follow on to be consistent, but.
But also it
homeowner's
sends a
decision-
signal that the goal is really to prevent additional Norway maples from popping up.
Popping up, yeah.
So if they're going all this work, then
Yeah.
hopefully they'll get it, but.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would be comfortable with the condition.
Allowing them to
Allowing.
do that as a
Yeah.
future option. Okay. Any public comment in regard to this application? Anything, Delia, on your screen? Okay.
Yeah, do we include this condition here? What I
Yeah.
said? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to issue a negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with DNR staff and the contractor to review erosion controls and limits of work. 2, all invasives shall be removed from the site and disposed of properly. And 3, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all the conditions of this determination of applicability. In addition, the owner has an option to remove the existing large Norway maple on the property. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second. Thank you, Gary. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Nice
you.
project. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
All right, next project, 11A Musketeer Road and 16B Elm Street for the Concord Land Conservation Fund. Joan, are you here with us? Oh,
Yes.
hey, Joan, sorry about that. I'm looking at the Zoom
Yes.
screen.
There, right. I'm looking for your.
Ah. Okay,
A bit of a scramble.
no, take your time. That'll be another great project, so.
Pretty smoothly.
right? This is
Yeah.
the first
I-
combination.
Second,
Second, oh.
but first with this,
Right.
Yeah.
This is going smoother than first.
Yeah.
first was a Mickey Mouse. It worked.
But it worked. Yeah, this is great. Yeah.
And then we'll just have the project description. Parts,
So you just want to hit on the highlights?
Right, so this is the property that the land trust owns is together. They acquired it in two parcels, that's why the two addresses, 6.1 acres, owned since 1965, and it's always been open, and one of the provisions of the gift was that it be kept open, which we've done, but as you know, there's been a shift in how you manage open fields, and this is always mowed, probably twice a year, kept mostly in grasses, and then somebody realized, oh, wait a minute, if you don't mow it, you get a lot of fall wildflowers, and anyway, so we're trying to manage it now more as for wildflowers as well as the grasses there. And what's come in also recently is invasive plants. So that's the goal, is to try and control invasives, particularly the buckthorn, which has, having been mowed all these years, is now, thickets, you can't dig them out, all the stuff. So that's why we've contracted with Parterre to come in and do the cut and dab for that. I think it'll probably be a couple of years. There's always more than you think. So that's the plan.
Okay. Thank you, Joan. Any questions from the commission regarding the application? All right. Any comments from the public regarding the application? None? All right.
No, I move that we close and issue an order of conditions for DEP file number 1371570. We're doing the right one, right? Yes. With standard conditions 1 through 19, findings A through A, B, C, and D, special conditions 20 through 41.
Second.
All right. And the vote. Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see, 8 Union Street, RDA file number 21-13. And who's with us this evening?
Candace?
Excuse me? Oh, Candace, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. You want to just perhaps just touch on the project that you're planning?
Yeah, so we were had an original garage in the similar area there that was destroyed in a storm where a big cherry tree fell on it and destroyed it. So we're just trying to rebuild the detached garage that was once there. The old structure, the right-sided corner of it kind of was beyond the property line. So the new structure is proposed within the property lines as depicted there. We were asked to show the wetlands buffer as well as erosion control measures, which are depicted by those dotted lines.
Okay, we see all that. That seems to make sense.
And the driveway will also be resurfaced.
Ah, okay.
Slightly expanded, but this is the existing. Yeah,
Oh, I see. So,
and it will be extended up to the garage and it's
sure.
met on the edges.
Okay, that makes sense. Right together. Tight little site there too. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments from the commission? No, relatively straightforward. Any comments from the public regarding this? Okay, hearing and seeing none. I think we have a motion.
Yeah, a motion to issue a negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. One, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with the NR staff and the contractor to review erosion controls and limits of work. Two, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote. Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Candace, good luck with your project.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I guess we're on to extension requests. Delia, a little background on that one?
We have Melanie here to talk about.
Ah, okay. Hey, Melanie, how are you?
Good. So nice to be in person.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Been a while.
So I'm Melanie Fu at 140 Jenny Duda Road. And amazingly, it's been about 3 years since I sat in this room
Yeah.
To seek approval to do a very small addition, about 8 feet by 13 or 14 feet off the corner of our house. We decided shortly after getting the approval that we should decouple our kitchen renovation from this little bathroom extension. And having done that, we then got ourselves into the pandemic and have gotten nowhere fast. So, I'm chipping away at the invasives, and it was really fun to listen to everything that's going on in town with invasives and hearing about the buckthorn that I'm wrestling with this week. But so I'm just looking for an extension for a year.
Sure. 1 year.
We'll get started.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we get it. So,
Yeah.
we're all in the same boat. So, let's see, I guess we'll have to have a little simple motion on that, please.
Yes.
Just simply a 1 year
As
extension.
simple as it
Yep.
sounds.
Yep, it is.
So I move to extend the DEP file 1371443 order of conditions for 1 year.
All right. Nick,
Second.
thank you. And the vote. Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully this year will be a better year.
Yeah, enjoy your year.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah,
person.
that's true. We're getting
in
there.
the right direction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, I think we have two other closed and issued decisions.
And these are decisions that we've looked at before and now
Yes.
we're just ready to,
Yeah.
because I see some highlighted parts. These are the things that we tweaked and then.
So let me see which ones this is. Yes, I sent that to the applicant. I just wanted to highlight that just so that they didn't have any comments on that.
Anyway. All right, so I move that we close and issue an order of conditions for DEP file number 1371559 with the 19 standard conditions and findings A through D and special conditions 20 through 51.
Second.
Thanks, Nick. And the vote. Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. All right, Gary.
And then I move to close and issue an order of conditions under DEP file number 1371564 with, again, the 19 standard conditions, findings A through D, and special conditions 20 through 58.
Second.
And the vote. Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, guys. We have one certificate of compliance.
That was for a demo and rebuild at 47 Water Street.
All right.
And all looks good.
Great.
She has done a remarkable job with the invasives there.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Ah.
she's a very good
That's
pond
great.
steward.
That's good. All right. We have a simple motion to issue that.
I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for 47 Warner Street, DEP file number 1371412.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote. Gary,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. And I think with that, we're down to administrative approvals.
So the first one is at Haywood Meadow. Will, our land manager, has organized the first volunteer effort of the season, hopefully one of many, and had some good turnout for some invasives removal work at Haywood Meadows. It's going to be focused in this area on both sides of the meadow. So here's Haywood Street, here's Millbrook, and about 80 feet up and downstream of Millbrook, removing multiflora, buckthorn, some barberry and honeysuckle, and just sort of opening up some areas for a little bit better visibility into the Millbrook, which is something that the Haywood Meadows Stewardship Committee is really interested in accomplishing, but also just to get rid of the invasives. So we're teamed with the volunteers, the crew will be assisting, and Backyard Invasives Project, which is a local organization that does a lot of kind of removal of invasives.
That's great. When is it scheduled for?
8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Monday, July 12th.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Just getting it out there.
Yes.
In case there's more
In case
volunteers
there
that
are
are
more
dying
volunteers,
to
have them,
jump aboard.
please contact the office.
All right.
Great.
But there'll be more chances.
In the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, it's first of many.
Hmm.
A Nurse Neck Hill Association is looking to install bog bridges at, I'm sorry. Let's see. No. So this is at the Nurse Neck Hill Association Common Land. They have some wet areas along a trail that they would just like to stop from getting muddy. It does go through wetlands. It is about 100 feet in two locations that they want to install bog bridges. And so similar to what Trails Committee does, putting down sleepers and laying down, two planks in those two sections, which I think is a good approach to mitigating these really kind of muddy trails.
Yeah. Okay.
And Wendy Slatabo at 455 Powder Mill has an oak tree that is in the outer buffer zone right next to her house. I don't have a photograph of it, but it's got some base rot and is really close to her house.
Yeah,
So,
makes perfect sense.
it does make sense. She's worked really hard to preserve the oaks that she has on site.
Mhm.
So this is one that just unfortunately it's
Ready to go.
ready to go.
Yeah.
And the next one is also tree removal. There are, let's see, 2 red oaks and a white pine in the outer riverfront area at 78 Forest Ridge Road. And it's in enough of a wooded area that we did not feel like replacement was
Okay, I was
necessary.
gonna ask.
And same with Wendy's side of those.
Is 78 Forest Street, are those apartments on the way up?
Yes, the townhouses across from the skating rink.
Yeah.
I have a picture of it if you want to see what it is, or an aerial.
It's not Blackbird, so
It's right, it's the same road, but it's
Right,
before
right.
Blackbird.
but it's a townhouses on the right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So those X's are the trees that come down.
Right, so this is Minuteman Arc right here.
Yep.
And this is the outer riverfront.
Yeah.
These are the 3 trees that are coming out. Pretty fair,
Yeah.
they're close to the structure.
Yeah,
Right.
they are.
And they've got plenty of trees.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and I think with that, we'd be looking for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, and a quick vote. Gary?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys.